Just what is it about the left and their embrace of black cop killers? I mean, in 2006 at UC Davis, California, Angela Davis, a self-described communist, came and gave a speech in which she praised Mumia Abu-Jamal and Assata Shakur.
I was going to mention the case of Mumia Abu-Jamal. I was going to mention the case of Leonard Peltier. I was going to mention the case of the Cuban Five in Florida. And then I was going to mention the campaign that we called Hands Off Assata, Assata Shakur, who is living in exile in Cuba after having escaped from prison in the 70s. Not very many people escaped from prison. You know, Assata should be applauded. She got away. She got away.
And then there's Al Sharpton at the Million Man March.
OJ is home, but Mumia Abu-Jamal ain't home. And we won't stop till all of our people that need a chance in an awkward and unbalanced criminal justice system can come home.
And now Colin Kaepernick has taken up the cause.
He had no record before he was arrested and framed for the death of a Philadelphia police officer. Since 1981, Mumia has maintained his innocence. His story has not changed. Mumia was shot, brutalized, arrested, and chained to a hospital bed. The first police officer assigned to him wrote in a report that the Negro male made no comment, as cited in Philly Mag. Yet 64 days into the investigation, another officer testified that Mumia had confessed to the killing. Mumia's story has not changed.
First, let's talk about Abu-Jamal. Steve Lopez is a left-wing columnist, writes for the LA Times, but he used to write for the Philadelphia Inquirer, a city where the cop killing took place. Here's what he wrote. Having lived and worked in Philadelphia for about 12 years, I happen to know a few things about the murder of Officer Danny Faulkner. I've talked to the prosecutors and to Abu-Jamal's attorneys, read the transcripts, studied the appeals, and visited the scene of the murder. And without qualification, hesitation, or a shadow of a doubt, I can tell you this. Mumia Abu-Jamal is guiltier than OJ. End of quote. Quite a statement. What are the facts? In the first hours of December 9, 1980, Danny Faulkner made a traffic stop on Abu-Jamal's brother, William Cook, who was driving the wrong way on a one-way street with his lights off. Witnesses describe an altercation after Cook resisted Faulkner. Abu-Jamal, who was driving a cab and happened on the scene, traded gunfire with Faulkner. When police arrived, Abu-Jamal was on the pavement with a bullet in his chest, his shoulder holster empty. A gun registered to him was a few feet away with 5 empty chambers. Faulkner, on his back nearby, was all but gone. 4 witnesses had seen all or part of the shooting, and 3 implicated Abu-Jamal. This brings us to the trial. At his 1982 trial, Abu-Jamal feuded with the judge and insisted on representing himself. He made political speeches, was removed from the courtroom several times, and was convicted by a jury of 10 whites and 2 African Americans who deliberated less than 2 hours in the penalty phase before coming back with a death sentence. And somehow, some way, Abu-Jamal becomes a cause celeb. I didn't know much about the case when I moved to Philadelphia in 1985 to work for the Inquirer, but I later heard it said that Abu-Jamal, a former radio reporter and Black Panther Party member, had been railroaded and that evidence pointing to another killer had been buried. Philadelphia being what it was, and my politics being what they were, none of that seemed preposterous to me. But I began to educate myself, and the things Abu-Jamal supporters didn't know were shocking. End of quote. Now Hollywood celebs have picked up the cause, and Steve Lopez, who now writes for the LA Times, said this: an international crusade to free Mumia, fueled by endorsements from Hollywood celebrities including Susan Sarandon, Paul Newman, Ossie Davis, Ed Asner, Tim Robbins, and Alec Baldwin, has had people marching in the streets from Africa to Asia and beyond. And speaking of Ed Asner, believe it or not, I found myself at the same table with him at an affair in Beverly Hills, and I asked him about the Abu-Jamal case. And I told him what was his basis for believing he was innocent. And he said, everybody knows he's innocent. And I said, have you read the transcripts? He said, no. I said, I have. I said, do you know that there was eyewitnesses? He said, no. I said, do you know that this allegation that the caliber did not match the gun of Abu-Jamal is false? He said, that's not what I heard. I said, would you mind coming on my radio show with me tomorrow and let's talk about this case? And you know what he said? He said, Larry, I'm not equipped to talk to you about the case. I said, but you're equipped to have an opinion that the man is innocent? He said, I know somebody who's intimately involved in the case. I'll have him contact you and he'll do your interview tomorrow. I'm still waiting. Lopez writes about ignorant celebrities like Asner. For instance, Abu-Jamal supporters screamed that a .44 caliber bullet was removed from Faulkner's body, but that Abu-Jamal had a .38. In fact, that claim had been debunked by the defense team's own ballistics experts. For 20 years, Abu-Jamal's own brother Billy, who was at the scene of the crime, never uttered a word in his defense. What kind of sap buys into Abu-Jamal's innocence when his own flesh and blood lets him stew on death row? Abu-Jamal, innocent man, framed by the racist police department. Michael Schmerkanish is a host on CNN. He's left-wing. He co-wrote a booklet called Cop Killer, along with Daniel Faulkner's widow, Maureen Faulkner. He's got a message for people like Colin Kaepernick.
2008, I co-authored Murdered by Mumia with Danny Faulkner's widow, Maureen. It was briefly a New York Times bestseller. By the way, neither of us accepted any proceeds from the sale of the book. So here's the short version based on trial testimony. On December 9, 1981, at about 4 a.m., 25-year-old Daniel Faulkner was executed while making what seemed like a routine traffic stop. Faulkner pulled over the brother of Abu-Jamal, a.k.a. Wesley Cook, who was driving his car the wrong way on a one-way street. Abu-Jamal was then working as a taxi driver. He saw the police stop from across the street. And 4 eyewitnesses testified at trial as to what happened next. Their testimony portrayed a horrific sequence. Abu-Jamal ran across the street, shot Officer Faulkner in the back, and then finally between the eyes. Before that final fatal shot, Officer Faulkner had himself discharged his gun, hitting Abu-Jamal in the stomach. With that bullet, you could say that he confirmed the identity of his executioner. When police arrived, Abu-Jamal was still wearing his shoulder holster. The murder weapon registered to him was next to him on the ground at the murder scene. He'd purchased it at a local sporting goods store. Ballistics tests verified that the bullets found in Abu-Jamal's gun were the same caliber, brand, and type as the fatal bullet removed from Officer Faulkner's brain. Both men were taken to a local ER. Faulkner was pronounced dead. Abu-Jamal was heard by witnesses, including a security guard, to say, "I shot the MFer, and I hope the MFer dies." So the case had eyewitnesses, a ballistics match, and a confession.
Now remember, supposedly, Abu-Jamal was defending his brother Billy because Officer Faulkner had assaulted Billy. But Billy never shows up to testify on behalf of his brother at his brother's trial when his brother is facing the death penalty. Are you smoking something?
Abu-Jamal's brother, William Cook, he saw it all. His words to police upon their arrival were, "I ain't got nothing to do with it." And he has never testified on his brother's behalf. Let me say that again. The brother of the man convicted of killing the cop has himself never taken the stand to tell a different story, and he was there.
Now, this brings us to Joanne Chesimard, now known as Assata Shakur.
I was going to mention the campaign that we called Hands Off Assata, Assata Shakur.
Congress passed a resolution with 0 votes against it, telling Castro to extradite Assata Shakur back to America. Why was she in Cuba? In 1977, after a 6-week trial, a jury found Ms. Chesimard guilty of first-degree murder for the slaying of Trooper Forster, a respected New Jersey state trooper. As a result of this conviction, Ms. Chesimard was sentenced to life in a New Jersey state prison. In 1979, Chesimard broke free from a maximum security cell at the Reformatory for Women in Clinton, New Jersey, with the help of 4 men who took a guard and prison van driver hostage. After escaping prison, Chesimard fled to Cuba for political asylum, a country which has no extradition treaty with the United States. Now, I mentioned a moment ago that Congress passed a resolution with 0 votes against it, telling Castro to send her back to America. Well, one congressperson voted in favor of that resolution, but later on wrote Castro a letter and asked him to keep her. Why did Maxine Waters vote for this resolution? Waters didn't realize that Joanne Chesimard had changed her name to Assata Shakur. Waters only knew her as Assata Shakur and didn't realize that she was asking Castro to send her back to America. So Waters, when she found out about her mistake, wrote Fidel Castro a letter. I and some of the members of the Congressional Black Caucus mistakenly voted for the House concurrent resolution which called on the government of Cuba to extradite to the United States Joanne Chesimard, who fled the United States from political persecution and received political asylum in Cuba. Joanne Chesimard was the birth name of a political activist known to most members of the Congressional Black Caucus as Assata Shakur. Well, Fidel Castro is dead, but Assata Shakur is very much alive and is still in Cuba and remains on New Jersey's most wanted list and is considered to be armed and dangerous. So I repeat the question at the top of the video. What is it with black cop killers that lefties like Al Sharpton and Angela Davis find the need to defend? Get back to me on that. I'm Larry Elder, and we've got a country to save. I'll see you next time.